going to have to get ready for at least two pandemics this year. They're going to try to bring them back to back. I mean, these people are evil and they are diabolical. I think by now we all know who's behind these schemes. There is the HMPV, which is in 14 provinces in China by now. And then there's the bird flu, which they're messing with. I'm going to play a video for you by this Bill Gates funded buffoon, and also a video about the HMPV. You got to listen to these videos very carefully, because after that, I'm going to tell you how they plan to do this, the structure, based on the information that we've been getting.
Stuff, Nicole, is that we have some big picture stuff coming down the pike starting on January 21st. Mr. Bloomberg mentioned H5N1. That I'm really worried about. It's all over wild birds on the western part of the United States and going up in the north. It's getting into the poultry. We're seeing sporadic human cases, no human-to-human transmission yet, but that could happen. It's in the cattle, it's in the milk, and that's just the beginning. We have another major coronavirus likely brewing in Asia.
So take a note of what he said. First, he said there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline starting January 21st. How did he know that? But he's funded by Bill Gates, so he would know. And then he also said, he talked about the bird flu. That's a pandemic. That's H1N1. And then he talked about another coronavirus-like pandemic brewing in Asia. He's talking about China. But guess what? When did he say this? He said that in November of last year. So they knew what was already in the works. Now listen to what's happening in China, and then I'll get back to give you the information.
Back in, well, viewers, 5 years after the COVID-19 pandemic, which first originated from China, China once again is witnessing an outbreak of the human metapneumovirus, or the HMPV. According to reports and social media posts, hospitals are overcrowded with infected individuals, and crematories also overwhelmed. Some social media users, in fact, claim that multiple viruses, including influenza A, HMPV, mycoplasma, pneumonia, COVID-19, are all circulating in China at the same time. There are even claims that China has declared a state of emergency. However, there's no official confirmation to the same. Let's take it point by point. Who is at higher risk given this virus? Young children, older adults, and those with weakened immune systems are at a higher risk of developing severe illness due to HMPV. The next question being asked, what are the complications of HMPV? Sometimes HMPV, viewers, can cause severe illness that might require hospitalization. Bronchiolitis, bronchitis, pneumonia, asthma, and ear infection are a few complications that may develop. What is the HMPV infection to begin with?
So let's break down what you said first, because all these people are just diabolical. Well-coordinated stuff going on here. Remember the Bill Gates funded buffoon said in the first video that a lot of stuff will be coming down in the pipeline from January 21st. She named about 5 different viruses circulating in China right now. Talked about the COVID, talked about influenza, talked about the HMPV, a couple of others. So a number of different things. So they are all coordinated. They say that the news spreads this. It's just about the fear and control. It's coming again in 2025. And it's just in time, have you noticed, for the swearing in of Donald Trump. The last time we had COVID-19, he was exiting office, right? And now we're having him coming back into office. We're on the verge of 2 pandemics again. Let's get to the whole plan that they have in the works. That's right there on the screen. So I'm going to let you know now, based on the information that we gathered, what they're planning. All right. So the thing is, you heard the buffoon before. Now you're hearing the newsmakers. So this whisper have been going on for a very long time. It's part of the master plan that they're unfolding, involving the HMPV and the bird flu. It have been circulating for a while. Different corners of the internet spoke about it. There are another connections. So guess what? Just strap in, because this isn't just another flu season. Let's begin with the theory of what they're doing. It's a coordinated pandemic blueprint, or plandemic blueprint, whatever you want to call it. The HMPV and the bird flu are not just random viruses. They are biological chess pieces on a carefully orchestrated global board. Now, behind the scenes, there are influential people, the organizations, there's Big Pharma, and there's others. They're said to be leveraging these viruses as tools to achieve sweeping changes in the economies, in politics, and society. So, the information we got, this is how their playbook is being theorized. First, the phase one is the MPV, and that's the silent premier basically. The HMPV is a respiratory virus similar to RSV, and you heard that, right? So it has been quietly rising in prominence in Asia, but nobody was saying anything. But while it's typically downplayed as a common infection, the recent patterns suggest that it's becoming more severe. And the information says that this is not a natural evolution that they're having here, but a deliberate enhancement. It's basically a test run to gauge population susceptibility. Remember, we said it's in 14 territories within China already. Now, this HMPV you're seeing, they're talking about now, it surged in late 2023 and also in 2024, but you weren't hearing much about it, especially among children and the elderly. The media coverage remained very subdued about this. They didn't do it. So the thing is, this was intentional because what they did, the silence helped to avoid panic while they allowed the virus to infiltrate the populations in China. So the key objectives basically during that phase was to weaken the immune systems. And of course, people travel, it passes on because they had some cases in the US, they had some in South America, but you weren't hearing about it. So basically, what they were trying to do is to weaken the immune systems globally to pave the way for phase two. And they were conditioning people to accept respiratory illnesses as normal. Of course, testing in the healthcare capacity without alarming the public as well has been going on. But like I said, the media has dumbed it down, and that's what they've been doing all the time. They coordinate with these people, and then after a while, they just bring it to the forefront. So in phase two, the information talks about the catalyst, the bird flu. The bird flu has long been a specter of pandemic fears. They talked about it for years, but recent outbreaks have been suspiciously well timed. So reports of the cross-species transmission and isolated human infections are escalating now. You're California, so they're taking a state of emergency to deal with it. Louisiana, there's a case. In Canada, there's one. So they're arguing that certain outbreaks would have to be placed in certain societies to get the full effect. So they're basically going to engineer the outbreaks with the H5N1 strains, which is quietly modified in different labs across the world. Remember the Bill Gates funded buffoon talked about the H5N1? They know what they're doing. So the ultimate goal basically is to spark the next global pandemic or plandemic. So there's a few steps in the alleged blueprint that we got. And like I said, this is an alleged blueprint because they don't have to go with this. This is what we got from our sources and they could change it. Remember, they're going to trigger it by a hybrid virus. So the thing is, they're going to use the HMPV and the H5N1. They could be combined to create a novel, highly transmissible pathogen, such as a hybrid that could target human respiratory systems with deadly efficiency. Remember, they're already talking about the HMPV. They're saying there's no, basically what's broken out in China, there's no vaccines and stuff like that. So it could be a hybrid they're doing based on the information. But like I said, they can change it. They're doing it because they want an economic collapse and a reset. So a global pandemic, of course, on that scale would cripple economies, making populations more dependent on centralized systems of control. You're thinking about digital currencies, the universal basic income, and the state-controlled supply chains, all part of what they want to do. And then there's the global juice rolled out. When I say juice, I'm talking about that thing that is sticking in your arm. Pharmaceutical giants are prepping with a miracle cure. But some are saying that these may come with trackings, like we heard before, nanotech or sterilization agents, fitting into a broader depopulation agenda. Now, the thing is, I'm going to do another video for you as to how they're going to deal with this arm juice this time around. And when I say arm juice, you know what I'm talking about, that needle sticking into your arm. There's something that the Harvard and the CDC, the John Hopkins and CDC did. You won't believe it. So in terms of the phase 3, which is the control grid, they're talking about the final stage, which involves leveraging the pandemic chaos to introduce sweeping societal changes under the guise of protection. There's going to be proposed outcomes in this one. There's a number of them that they have. The mass surveillance, they have it down. The population management, the centralized government. They're talking about contact tracing and immunity passports, where they're becoming permanent or creating a global database of biometric data system. No stranger to this biometric data, right? Kuwait introducing it. The UK and different European nations this year, they're saying we have to get the biometric data in for this year when you're coming into airports and different places. A lot of countries are getting into it. So you see how the plan will be rolling into play. Population management, high debt tolls, long-term health complications, that's going to reduce global populations. Of course, they can't kill out the population because only one person can actually end this universe that we live in. But that's what they're planning to do and fulfilling their, of course, the egotistic goals that they have. There's a centralized governance issue that they have where for countries to secede sovereignty to a global authority to prevent future pandemics. Of course, what they did in Europe last year when all the countries signed on to that agreement, people said, oh, people talking conspiracy. Well, you see how everything is falling into place, right? And then, of course, there's the hidden players in all of this game, like the World Economic Forum that we got information about, the big pharma, the conglomerates, certain government agencies, which frequently emerge disinformation. And the leaked documents are showing meetings discussing plans under code names like Operation Phoenix and others. There's a lot of different things they're doing. So the bird flu outbreak in poultry farms, especially in densely populated regions, this is seen as a field experiment. Meanwhile, the unusual HMPV mutation patterns hints at laboratory tinkering. Remember this said the other day that in a lab break in Australia, 300 viruses went missing and they can't find them up to now. Get it? It's all coming together. So it's coinciding that a major bioresearch hubs are situated near recent outbreak epicenters, and we heard about some in China. So here's what you can do. In the meantime, you have to question all the narrative that the media is putting out there to you. I'm talking about the media that has been pushing all of this for the last couple of years. I'm not talking about alternative media here. I'm talking about the Western media, right? Nobody trusts us anymore. So you have to question why the sudden uptick in respiratory illnesses all of a sudden. Why are major pandemics becoming almost cyclical? You have to question it. Prepare independently, okay? Stock up on all necessities to avoid reliance on centralized systems. Get your vitamin C early. Get all the necessary medication that you need. And I'm talking about natural stuff that you want to use because you can't trust them. And you have to stay informed. Pay attention to alternative media outlets and whistleblower leaks and early warnings. Don't pay attention to the mainstream media. They're going to be fooling you because it's going to be easy to dismiss ideas. People say, oh, they're paranoid. Remember what happened in the last one? Well, sometimes truth is stronger than fiction. I can tell you that. So get ready. Just be prepared because these are two pandemics they have and they're falling into place piece by piece. Don't get caught up down the rabbit hole again like the last time. All right. Just remember, I have another video coming out on how they're going to do that arm juice for the next one. You don't want to miss that one. All right.